And we are live. What up, though? We have
Hello,
Sequib, and we also
hello.
have introduce our guest for us, Sequib.
Yep. First of all, welcome everyone to another Chicken Talk interview. I am very, very happy and pleased here to have the one of the co-owners or co-hosts of one of the biggest Japanese boxing, MMA, rising channels out there covering the sport over in Japan. We have Shin-san from Family Time FT. Good morning over there where you are at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Nah, you're very welcome. Uh,
So, what are we here? What are we here to talk about?
yeah. So first of all,
Sequib, don't get nervous, Sequib. Just
I'm not
relax.
getting nervous. No, I'm just not used StreamYard in a long, long time. So first of all, I came across your channel maybe
Uh-huh.
2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when
Okay.
I was watching this breakdown video of Naoya Inoue
hmm
covering the jab. It had some subtitles as well, and I think your brother was alongside you as well.
mm
That is your brother, isn't it? Now, Naoto.
Yeah. That's right. He's my younger brother.
Cool, cool. Now, I just wanted to know. Initially, you started off as a pro Muay Thai fighter. So, what I'd like to know first of all is your journey into combat sports in the first place. Starting out in Japan in Muay Thai.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess starting. How did I start Muay Thai? I guess would be the place now to begin. Originally, I wanted to get into MMA, mixed martial arts, right? And I was looking for a gym, and there wasn't an MMA gym around my area. So at the time, do you guys watch UFC by any chance?
Yeah,
We,
yeah. I
I,
watch a little bit of it. A little bit of it.
A little bit of
The
it.
bigger cards.
Right. So at the time, I was kind of getting into MMA or thinking about getting into MMA. There was this champion called the Ultimate Cheetah who was a karate fighter. And he was fucking people up. Sorry, I cursed, but he was messing people up with this
No,
karate.
you could cuss. You could cuss.
So, so what that showed me was karate was a valid tool in fighting. So my initial thoughts was, well, there's no MMA gym, so I'm gonna go to a karate place and learn how to do karate, and then I'm gonna transition and find an MMA gym. So I went to this karate place, and then I don't know if you guys know karate, but there's two types. There's a type where you can actually strike people, and there's another type where you actually don't really hit someone. And the gym I went to was a type where you actually don't hit someone. So when they were showing me around and introducing the gym to me, they were like, well, actually, we don't really do the sparring here. We don't hit people like the gym over there does. And then, you know, and then I like, shit, where's that other gym? You got to show, because that's the stuff I want to do. So they accidentally kind of promoted the other gym, even though their intentions was to do the opposite. So I found the other place, and the other place was, they did teach karate, but they taught karate to kids, the younger kids, and then once you get to a certain age, they would transition into kickboxing, Muay Thai.
right.
And so that's how I started doing Muay Thai. That's right.
And where is it that you're based in Japan, actually?
Chiba. So how do I explain this? It's not very far from Tokyo. It's probably like, well, actually, yeah, it's kind of next to Tokyo, but there's an ocean in between.
Oh yeah, the Tokyo Bay.
Yeah, Tokyo Bay, but underneath the Tokyo Bay, there's a thing called the Aqua Line, which is like this underwater tunnel, and that leads to Chiba.
Cool. Now, I wanted to ask, like, how long was your Muay Thai career? Uh,
Oh shit. So I started really late. I think I started the first time I stepped in the gym was when I was 20. So I started doing amateur fights, and then that just led into pro fights, and then I was active until COVID was actually the thing that kind of drew me away. So that would be 2019. So what, about 9 years, I think. Yeah.
What was it? I'm assuming during COVID, the time during the pandemic was probably hard trying to get yourself fights. Or were you fighting just locally, or did you ever travel, or get to fight in another the neighboring countries during your Muay Thai career as well?
Well, actually, when COVID hit, there was a period where nobody can fight, right, for a couple of months, and then after that, well, I don't know how it was like wherever you guys are, the States or England, but in Japan, so essentially all fights shut down for several months, and then they started hosting fights without any audience. So there's no audience, but they have the fights, and then they would have to test for COVID. All the fighters would have to test for COVID, and basically what was happening was every other event, like 2-3 fighters, quote unquote, tested for COVID. And they trained, sold tickets, and they just couldn't fight. So that's a little bit messed up. So I had no interest in doing that. So I wasn't desperate to fight or looking to fight, even like after that COVID thing happened. It's not like fighting was a big part of my financial it wasn't part of that. I didn't need it. So essentially when COVID hit, I didn't feel the need to continue doing it anymore.
So when was it that you actually started your channel? Because I'm having a look at some of your earliest videos on FamilytimeFT. First of all, the name. I have to ask, what's the story behind naming the channel? Because that thing kind of threw me off when I was first looking at your videos.
Right. Well, so my younger brother wanted to do the channel, and I was still fighting in kickboxing, right? So I didn't care less about doing a YouTube channel, but he liked the idea of being a YouTuber. So he would just grab the camera and he would film like our training, or he would make tutorials about, these technique how-tos, which is, I think, quite a popular thing to do right now. But when we started it nobody was doing it. So it was because me and my brother are family. We just named it Family Time, and that's what it just ended up becoming. So once you make a channel, you can't really change the channel name. So that's kind of what it is.
No, I mean, I'm sure you're sitting here thinking, what the hell Chicken Talk means. To this day, I still don't know what that means.
Chicken Talk, yeah, it's true. That is a weird name.
So what you said you fought yourself, your brother wanted you to make the channel. How did you grow your subscribers? What do you think that attracted people to your channel to get you so big?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, we used to do the vlogs and the tutorials, how-tos, and then we also used to do what we call shohayosoku in Japanese, which is fight predictions, post-fight, what we thought about the fight afterwards, and that kind of stuff. That stuff that everyone does.
Yeah.
And it worked until everyone starts doing it, because everyone is just going to start copying your ideas once they see you're having success, right? So the key to growing your channel is just staying ahead of everyone, which means, I mean, it's probably the same as any martial arts, boxing or kickboxing. But, shit, sorry about that. But you got to stay ahead of everyone, and you got to stay creative, and you got to please your viewers, because your viewers are going to get bored if you're doing the same content over and over.
Okay.
And then with us, it was what took us. Well, what we're known for right now is we make the documentaries about fighters, and we still do the post-fight technique breakdown, but we do it much better. So there's a lot more production into it.
I've noticed I'm assuming that's your brother that's doing all of the editing work for the channel. It looks like it's come leaps and bounds, like in the last couple of years alone. Like there's like this coherent branding that's coming with your channel. And for anyone who's listening, you should see this channel's like fight profiles in some fighters. You've got, you know, Floyd
Yes.
Mayweather, you have Nassim Hamid. The Nassim Hamid stuff personally was some of the best things, some of the best content I've seen in Japanese boxing, in a lot, like Japanese boxing YouTube.
Better than Lee Wiley, whatever his name is. Lee Wiley. You know what that is, Shiz?
Yeah, I seen some of his stuff. I mean, yeah, Lee Wiley, he does boxing stuff, right?
Yeah.
As far as the American boxing, at least boxing, that guy, Motivedia boxing. You guys know him?
Yeah.
Yes,
They
yeah.
They do good work too. Real good.
He has some good, you know, he puts some editing work into it, which is cool. I appreciate it because it's very visually entertaining.
Yeah.
But he's about all. There's another guy with a lot of subscribers. He does just all the titles.
You're talking about Guerrilla Promotions?
Oh yeah, there's that one too.
Some of the stuff that I can remember is Office Hancho Boxing, Hansa God. Like these are all content creators that essentially got me back into watching the sport again. And then the thing that made me start watching boxing again was stumbling onto Japanese fighters. You know, suddenly seeing highlight videos of Shinsuke Yamanaka, the ex-WBC bantamweight champion, and Takashi Uchiyama, the WBA, I believe, the 130-pound champion. Yeah, man. Like, sorry, go on.
Yeah. So we have a couple people that's coming over to Japan for the Inoue versus Fulton fight.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. It's probably about 6 people going over there.
When's the date?
That's what they're waiting on right there. That's the holdup. But can you give us a little insight?
Just yesterday
into the Japanese culture, boxing culture over there, so that they know the do's and don'ts.
Yeah. Do you know Logan Paul?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, yes. Don't do that.
yeah, I remember when you did.
Yeah. So the Fulton fight just yesterday, I think you guys know Saitama Super Arena. There's this big arena in Saitama called Saitama Super Arena. They host big events there when it comes to boxing and MMA. But apparently on their website, they have the dates of events happening, and on May 23rd, Inoue versus Fulton was on there. Before any one of those Fulton team or Inoue's team announced the fight. So there's a rumor that's on the 23rd. But there's also another rumor that it's going to be on the 7th. So nobody really knows what's going on. And I think Ohashi Kaicho is supposed to announce the fight in a couple of days.
So we heard a newspaper report from Ohashi-san saying that that the May 23rd date was an error, because I remember seeing that Saitama Super Arena. It was a Google listing. You look it up on Google, you see their event schedule, and I don't know how that got there, but May 23rd has Inoue Fulton listed. Well, one question I did have to ask it's been a long time that we've had a fight involving an American champion going over to Japan for quite possibly, this must be one of the biggest fights in Japan in recent Japanese boxing history.
Yeah.
Waiting for a date has been quite hard. Yeah, there's about 11 of us right now who are thinking about going over to travel. But what advice would you be giving for people who are not from Japan trying to purchase, for example, tickets or trying to secure a space to be able to see a fight like of this stature? Because to me, it sometimes feels like Japanese promoters don't always, I don't want to say don't always understand, but don't always realize that their fighters are so popular, in the sense that there's people from international waters who know who these fighters are, who watch their fights. But I'm wondering whether Ohashi Gym and Taken Promotions will make it, for example, accessible for non-Japanese fans to be able to go over and travel.
Well, I mean, you could travel, but getting a ticket, nah. It's without a doubt going to be sold out. It's probably going to be sold out pretty fast. So the best way to get your hands on tickets is through one of the fighters fighting.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Uh-oh. So hold up. So you said it's going to be sold out pretty fast. So
It's gonna
they
be
can't.
sold out without a doubt, like very fast. Like
So
everybody's gonna want
Americans can't get on the website and buy them up, or it's just going to be offered strictly to the Japanese audience.
Well, what I would imagine what would happen is they'll have a lot of fighters have like, well, especially they have a fan club, or any famous fighters has a fan club thing going on, and if you're in that fan club, you'll get access to early sales.
Okay.
That's what they'll usually do, and then once that's done, they'll open it up to the public, and then whoever gets there first gets it, I guess.
Do they have
I
a
know
resale
that.
market over there?
Sorry.
Do they have a resale market where people where ticket brokers buy the
Oh
tickets?
yeah.
And sell them
I think some people do that. Some people do that. It's not very smiled upon, obviously, but yeah, people do that.
I was gonna say, to be honest, the ticketing situation is something that's holding a lot of us back from actually being able to go over to travel to watch this fight.
Uh-huh.
Well, I know it's a lot of people. It's like, well, you said 11 of us, 11 of y'all that's going over there, that plan on going over there. You better hit up Stephen Fulton and see if he got some tickets to sell on the side.
That's the best way, actually, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're gonna start taking some questions for him. So if you have questions in the chat, type them out, or if you want to come up and join and ask them, you could do it anyway. The link is pinned at the top of the chat. Intangible wants to know: is there a chance Jay Nakatani fights Maloney or something of the sort on the undercard?
Oh, he's talking about.
Not on the undercard. Oh, for the Inoue fight?
I think so. Yeah, Junto Nakatani.
Not impossible. Yeah, it's not impossible. I think Ioka vacated, right? He vacated the title and he's gonna go fight Rodriguez again.
No, it's Bam Rodriguez's brother. Yeah.
Younger, older brother.
Older brother, Franco.
Franco, yeah. So he's gonna vacate his title and go fight him. So his WBO title is open for grabs, and Nagatani and someone's gonna fight for that now. Yeah, Ioka's getting a lot of shit for that over here because he's getting accused of dodging Nakatani.
Yeah, I did want to ask this because despite the amount of champions that have come out of Japan for the last, I want to say 2 or 3 years, you're now in a situation where Ioka has vacated his title to fight Franco again, which I think is fair enough because it was such a close fight the first time round. You got Inoue is now vacated all his titles at bantamweight. The only champion left in Japan is Kenshiro Teraji. Unified his titles against Hiroto Kiguchi. But this is a very interesting question from Matthew, actually. Thanks for joining us. What are your thoughts on Hayato Tsusumi so far, and when do you see him fighting for a title?
Sorry, I don't know who that is. Should I know?
I wonder if he's talking about
Hayato Tsusumi. I don't know who that is. I mean, we need Two Slick in here. He knows everybody. Who is that, Matthew?
he's talking about the he was the gold medalist in the 2016 World Youth Championships. He's already had 2 fights in the pro ranks right now. He's already fought in July and December last year.
Right. Okay, that's probably why I don't know him. Yeah, I don't really follow the local Japanese boxing too much.
That's fine because we have lots of fans here who will come out only for the biggest fights. You can see Lefty here. They nickname him co-main Lefty because if he goes to a fight, he only turns up for the co-main. For the main event.
Co-main in the main event. That's my time. You
What
said,
was there a moment in time where you found yourself getting back into boxing? Because it seems like you've come from an MMA and Muay Thai background, but obviously your analysis and experience of being in the sport that you're in has translated quite well into making videos not just on Rising and Muay Thai and MMA, but also boxing as well. Has there ever been a point where you started getting back into boxing, or was there a situation where you were always into the biggest fights in Japan in boxing?
Right. Well, I mean, I always liked boxing as a sport, but as far as why we make videos about boxing is because well, I think it originally started with the documentaries, and then with boxing, the history is there's history. It's long. You can get access to that history on the internet. There's actually videos on YouTube of interviews of Ali and Foreman, and there's you have access to the history. And so with that kind of content, you can make some pretty good documentaries and that kind of stuff. So that's where we started, because we couldn't do that with Muay Thai or kickboxing or UFC, because Muay Thai there's a long history, but it's in another language. It's in Thai, so we can't really do anything with that. UFC or MMA is just a new sport, and kickboxing is it's also pretty relatively new. And so
Relatively niche.
Sorry?
Relatively niche as well, compared to
Yeah,
boxing at least.
that too. So in that sense, boxing was just the best. And then as far as making like the technical breakdowns and stuff along those lines, yeah, boxing is just, it seems like everybody, at least our viewers, are more interested in boxing than MMA or kickboxing. Um, as far as kickboxing goes, it's just not at the level of what boxing is, if you know what I mean.
I've heard of the numbers that they do over there, the viewing numbers with Murata. I heard he does like tens of millions of views on TV over there.
Right.
And also thank you, Nika, for the 999 super chat. G10, we heard May 7th. It's just a rumor. I don't know if it's not. And also, when I asked where is Too Slick is the one that asked the question. That's Matthew Ortiz. He has a different name on YouTube than he does on Twitter. He was the one that asked the question about the guy. Okay. Can you read that from Intangible? You're better with the names than I am, sweetie.
Hayato Tsutsumi fought against Nyon Gemino and Apolinar in his first two fights, both durable, and managed to give him 2 good rounds. Very good technical ability and medaled at the AIBA World Championships. Oh, you have some Japanese, I'm assuming viewers of the FamilytimeFT channels who have come onto the chat as well. Thank you very much, Yokuso. Thank you very much, but yeah, my Japanese is very, very limited right now.
Can you see the question? Is that a question or is that just a statement?
That's a date.
Yeah, he's saying it's 5th, the May 5th, right? As far talking about the Fulton Inoue fight.
Oh, May the 7th, yeah.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, May 7th.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you actually, are there any fighters that you're interested in that are not from Japan, abroad, for example? When was the last time? Because I've seen you've been covering Stephen Fulton recently, especially in your last three or 4 videos, as well as on your secondary channel. The secondary channel is KT Cast. I'm assuming that's where you put most of your long form podcast stuff. But are there any fighters at the top of your head that you are really into right now whilst watching boxing that are from outside of Japan?
Yeah. Well, actually, if I'm just gonna watch, I don't watch a lot of Japanese boxing, like I said. Just because the level is not, it's not as high as America. So with the content, obviously, well, the thing is with you, if we're gonna make a YouTube video, the first thing you want to do is make a video that people are interested in, because there's no point in making a video that no one's gonna watch. And so saying that, we make content for Japanese viewers, and a lot of Japanese boxing fans don't really watch American boxing, sad to say.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so that sense, if we're gonna make videos towards Japanese fans, we have to make videos that fighters that they know, which is they like Inoue and Naoya the most, and Inoue is fighting Fulton, and that's why Fulton's relevant. But if Inoue was not fighting Fulton, we would not be making videos about Fulton. Is kind of the fact of it.
Are you aware that your videos on Fulton have reached an amazing view count? Because even, I mean, Fulton's a phenomenal like unified super bantamweight champion over in the US as well. But
Yes.
that view counts of your videos have like almost far surpassed some of the numbers he's done in his own country, which I suppose is because he's from a lower weight, and lower weight fighters don't generally get all of the exposure in the US and the UK.
How did Fulton come up on the Japanese fans' radar? Because I remember guys talking about him before Inoue moved up to 122. Before the Paul Butler fight, they were talking about him. How did Fulton come up on the radar for Japanese fans?
So he was talking he wasn't talking shit, but he was like talking about Inoue in his interviews beforehand, right? So some of these Japanese channels, these news, quote unquote news channels, will just translate that and put it up on YouTube, right? The problem with that is a lot of times those guys, they don't put their faces on the channel. They don't even use their own voice. You get some AI to read it.
No, I've seen that.
So what they would do is they'll just they'll probably twist his words and they'll just make him sound like he's just shitting on Inoue, and people would click it. So Fulton villain at the moment.
There's an interesting tweet that you gave on one of my own tweets, actually, because you said you're one of the few channels out there, if not one of the only channels in Japan, that's giving credit and respect to Fulton's abilities as a boxer and as a world champion. That surprised me because I genuinely thought the sentiment would have been across the board over the country. I'm assuming this is because you've watched his fights, but I'd like to know more about what you meant by saying that. What was the tweet? I can't remember now, actually, but I remember something along the lines of your channel was one of the only places that gave Fulton the credit that he deserved as a fighter and as a champion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Fulton's, he's undefeated and he's got 2 world titles, and I think right now he's beaten 3 world champions in a row, right? So, yeah, he's good. He's good, and because we say he's good, a lot of fans would automatically take that as we think he's going to beat Inoue, and they kind of get a little bit butthurt about it. So what you guys have to know about Japan is it's not America. And America, in general, it's very normal for people to say what they think. And freedom of speech is a thing, right? You can say what you think. No one should be able to say anything against it. Japan is a little bit different. Japan is everybody wants to stay in line, let's just say. So, for example, let's use this Inoue versus Fulton thing, for example. There's several boxing, there's a lot of boxing YouTube channels, actually, and then there's a lot of boxing champions or former champions that have their YouTube shows. So if they come out and say Fulton is going to beat Inoue, it's going to be a problem for them. Even if they think that, they can't say it. You know what I mean? Because what happens is they stand out, even though they're saying what they essentially think. And from an American standpoint, that's ridiculous. Every American YouTube channel talking about boxing, they just say what they think, right? If you think Fulton, if you think Inoue is going to win, you say Inoue. It doesn't matter if you're Japanese or American. Japan is different, where if a Japanese boxer, especially when it's a guy like Inoue who's been he's just considered to be invincible, then you kind of support your fellow Japanese. That's kind of what it is. So there's a lot of people who saying Fulton wouldn't even stand a chance against Inoue, just to kind of, maybe that's what they actually think, but the majority of them is probably because that's what they have to say.
Well, I look at it this way: if you say the opponent is good and then he beats the opponent, that makes the win even more better. You can't say, well, he's no good, then he beat him, because you beat a no good fighter. So
Yeah, yeah,
knowledge
yeah,
wise.
yeah. Anyone with half a brain can piece that together, but you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, you'd be very, very surprised. Like
Uh,
boxing Twitter is a big minefield when it
Let
comes
me
to
knock out some of
opinion.
these questions from the chat. He said, what's up, Gio?" He said, "What are your thoughts on the notion that Japanese boxing fans are generally more respectful than people abroad?" Also, shout out to Chicken Talk. Thanks, Gio.
that is true. I would imagine. I haven't been to the States and seen the boxing scene around there, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, if you go to a Japanese event, not just boxing, but martial arts, kakutogi, kickboxing, MMA, everyone's pretty respectful of the whole, let's say, environment. Nobody's screaming or throwing shit around. Usually, everyone's pretty chill. Let's just say it's just the culture. Like you don't do anything to bother the person next to you. It's kind of what the Japanese culture is.
So
So I wouldn't know if it's respectful as in the sense that we respect the martial arts, but you're just respectful to people around you as much as possible. It's kind of ingrained in the Japanese culture. So I think there's a part of that. Yeah, I agree with this statement.
Okay. And the
do you
next one
some
is Murata on the same level exposure celebrity wise as Inoue?
No, so that's no, you'd be surprised. So in this sense, where like Inoue versus Fulton, we all got to support Inoue. Murata versus Golovkin was like everyone's like Murata's doomed. we just forsook him. We forsook him. The fight was great though. He lost, but he got a lot of credit for what he did. So yeah, he's not popular. He's not even the same. Like he's what an Olympic gold medalist and he was champion, but he's not. Yeah, I don't know. I can't. It's hard to explain why. Looks the way they look have something to do with it. Also, the way they win their fights. I guess Munata doesn't just knock people out of the ring like it does. So there's
do you
that
reckon
too.
do you reckon before Inoue was you know in the World Boxing Super Series that Murata may have been a bigger name because of the weight class he was in? Because in Japan it's usually unusual to see middleweight world champions,
Mhm.
and I did used to think that Murata has a very small, if not almost non-existent, social media presence as well. I'm wondering if that's also a part of it as well, especially nowadays, because Inoue now has become undisputed at bantamweight, obviously moving up in weight. But I always used to think Murata at some point was a little bit of a bigger name until Inoue started doing its thing in the World Boxing Super Series.
Yeah, I mean, he was a star because he was a champion, but he's not. Yeah, he's not on the level as far as exposure as Yeah, yeah, it's a hard thing to explain. Like Kenshiro is well, he's got two belts. He's probably gonna get his third one, but he's also not very popular either.
It. Why do you think that is? It's
It's a hard thing to explain, but I mean, I think it's because a lot of it has to do with that's just who they are. Like when you're a kid growing up at school, there was the kid that was just always popular with the kids. Like, how do you explain how to be popular? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
you find boxing's one of those sports in Japan which is competing with a lot of other sports in Japan when it comes to popularity and exposure. Because I read today that the prime minister's given Inoue the president's cup for the what was it
uh-huh.
the Japanese Professional Sports Association or something. But when I had a look as to the history of that particular trophy or you know that particular award, it's only been in the last I want to say since the 70s, maybe 6 or 7 boxers have received that trophy. Um, Someone else has asked a question about Kenshiro, but
Hold on, get to J Ro question first. He wants to know. He said Fulton Inoue might be shown on DTV. Why are a lot of fans unhappy about DTV? How much is the subscription for?
The subscription isn't the problem. The problem is nobody subscribes to it. you know, you have to become right. That's the problem.
I did
The
want to ask this because you had a situation where boxing in Japan was being shown on Fuji TV and a lot of the bigger TV channels, and it seems that as of recently, fights are now beginning to go on to streaming services like Prime Video or DAZN or pay-per-view, with Inoue's first fight on pay-per-view against Aran Depayan, I think the Thailand-based fighter. But what's the general sentiment amongst fans, not just about DTV, but in general about, is boxing becoming more expensive to watch in Japan now?
I guess you could say so. If you had TV in your house, then if you would be able to essentially watch it for free if it was on TV. But as of the moment, the only person fighting on TV is like Ioka. And he just fights on New Year's, right? He gets like every New Year's.
I have noticed that.
But yeah, it's, I guess, but the thing is, like, if you wanted to watch just that Inoue fight for DTV, you wouldn't have to pay much. Like, you just sign in, do the app thing. Once the fight's done, you just sign out. It's not such a pain. I mean, it's a pain, but it's not like the money is such a problem. But yeah, what's cool about the streaming is a lot of the Kenshiro fight's going to be on Amazon Prime, at least here in Japan.
Oh yeah.
So that's very nice because a lot of people are already in Amazon Prime, right? It's just a good service to have, regardless of the fights or not. DTV is absolutely useless. That's why people are annoyed.
I know Prime Video is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, streaming service in terms of market share in Japan, and also I'm pretty sure that they're calling that event the Tenshin Nasukawa Pro debut, because have you seen the poster? It's like
yeah. So there's a lot of quote unquote controversy there, but I mean, we don't know if Tenshin's going to be the main event. I'm of the thought that he should be, because that's the truth of the matter, is he's the biggest draw, right?
Oh, Lefty loves his stuff. He's nodding his head right now.
Even though, yeah, Kenshiro's the champ, but the fact of the matter is, most people are going to be there to watch Tenshin. So Tenshin should be the main event, is just what I think.
Judging by the press conference, the press notes from Prime Video themselves, it seems that Tenshin Nasukawa will be the main event, because the way they've worded it is they have centered the whole event around Nasukawa, who I believe is fighting a top 4 Japanese ranked. Is he a super bantamweight, I believe?
He's like, yeah, I think top 4 bantamweight. He's a weight class underneath what?
Oh yes, yeah, 118 pounds. Yeah.
I mean, Tenshin's gonna go to bantamweight anyways. That's his best. I imagine that's gonna be his best weight in the future.
How do you reckon his transition into boxing is going to take place?
How
do you think it'll go?
Yeah, he's gonna do great. He's gonna. Well, obviously he's gonna win this one. I'll be surprised if he doesn't get the KO. And yeah, in like 2-3 years, he's gonna be the second biggest thing in Japanese boxing. Number 1 being Inoue. He won't even need a world title to do that either. He's just he's already got the name. He's popular. He goes on TV. So yeah, I mean, hey, I like Kenshiro, but yeah, you got to get people to watch you if you're gonna, if you want to lead the card or have promoters want you to lead, become the main event. It's just what it is.
Sure. Did you get 2 Slick's question, Sequoia?
Yes.
Okay, you did that. Okay, another one is. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think Kenshiro is likely to fight for the IBF title winner if he beats Jonathan Gonzalez and Heki Butler? And he's already answered the question where he said, how popular is he in Japan? Because apparently not so much.
Yeah, I mean, popular amongst the boxing fans, right?
Yeah.
But the general public, no. Yeah, not so much. Sadly, because his fight style is great and he wins by KO. If you look at his record, he knocks people out, right? He gets to the finish. But Also, I think he had some kind of incident where he was, what was he doing? Was he drink driving? I think
Oh yeah.
there
That
was
that
some
was
there
just,
was some
that
kind of
was
incident there. So yeah, that's an issue, especially in Japan. I think his younger brother had a problem like that too. Not drink driving, but I think he had some. What did he do? There was some scandal of him cheating on his wife or whatever.
What's the number one sport in Japan?
Number one sport?
Yeah.
Baseball or soccer.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, baseball. They do love baseball.
that's the same. This particular award that Inoue received today from the Prime Minister is normally been dominated by baseball, baseball athletes, and uh, I can't think of anything else. Probably soccer
Right.
players.
Here's a good one from Masha. How big of a fight would have Inoue versus the Kameda? How do you say the name? Kameda brothers have been.
Comment. Yeah. That's still like floating around because Kameda is what was he ranked? He's ranked pretty high in the WBA super bantamweight. Was it?
Um, which one is it? Is it
One of the,
Tomoki Kameda is the one who moved to Mexico?
yeah,
Then he
yeah,
had
yeah,
Koki Kameda,
yeah, yeah.
and trying to remember the other one because it's this whole family. It's like a dynasty, isn't it?
There's three brothers, but the two are retired already, and there's one active, and that's the one you were just talking about, the one in Mexico.
Yeah, Tomoki is still active. You got Koki and can't remember who else.
Yeah. So if he can get a belt, I mean, he would have to take it off Ahmadaliyev, but if he could do that, that would be a mega fight.
Really? Because Ahmad Aliyev doesn't really seem to be very interested in fighting anyone right now. It seems. I'm not
He's
sure
gonna
if you
fight
saw him.
Tapares, right?
Say that again.
He's gonna fight Tapares, the Filipino.
Yeah, that's been confirmed now. I believe he's the co-main to Bam Rodriguez, challenging for the WBO flyweight title.
Winning that. Yeah, Bam Rodriguez is gonna be the man because that guy's too good.
That's very interesting.
All right, I got
But
another one from T
yeah,
Word. He said,
Kameda and it would be a great fight because Kameda's family, they have the name for being the bad guys in the boxing industry, and I think the Kameda family and the Inoue family have had some kind of drama before, so that would be a big fight regardless of the fact that Inoue is going to win. But yeah, but besides, even with that, it'll get a lot of eyes.
like you said, excuse me, like you said earlier, you don't see too many commentators or ex-fighters picking Fulton to win, but he said behind closed doors are some of them picking Fulton to win.
I don't know that, but I think anyone with any kind of boxing knowledge can see Fulton is pretty good. But we also we have our bias where we can't imagine Inoue losing. Because he's been very dominant for so many years, so there's that factor as well. But also, like, I think a lot of the Japanese, we like the aggressive kind of style. We kind of seem to favor that style where they have power and they're aggressive and they like to fight. And Fulton is just not that. So I think a lot of us Japanese boxing fans don't really seem to, I guess, respect the way Fulton fights as a way, but we're not a fan of, I guess a lot of us just don't like the way he fights, and we kind of merge that with the fact that he probably doesn't stand a chance a little bit. I mean, that's just my opinion of it. But yeah, Fulton's a problem for Inoue. I still have Inoue slightly advantageous just because of the fact that he can end the fight with one shot.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't knock him out with one shot, that can lead to a series of shots that could take Fulton out. Like, that's a big advantage for anyone to have the power. That's just something that Fulton doesn't have over Inoue. So I would, and also the fact that it's happening in his hometown is a big thing too. So
Oh, it's in
Yeah,
his hometown also.
ahead slightly.
Yeah, because he's from Yokohama. So if the venue that I think that it's going to take place in, because the words being bandied around are either the Saitama Super Arena or the Yokohama Arena, then both of them are close to his hometown, if not in his hometown.
Yeah, it's gonna be somewhere around the Tokyo area, that area. So it's not far, whether it be Yokohama or Saitama or, you know.
Now
Uh,
pivoting slightly away from boxing, more about your channel. I mean, I've noticed that you handle the English language from the amount of time you've been speaking is pretty darn good. And I just wanted to ask, like, have you ever thought about promoting your channel outside of Japan? Like, for example, I'm not just saying subtitles, but perhaps thinking about catering some of your content to people in this side of the world, across the, well, can I say across the Atlantic? Yeah. So yeah, it's something that I'm just saying as a comment. If you ever think about, if you're ever gonna think about maybe doing analysis for fights outside of Japan, you've got a great advantage just from your handle of the language alone. And I was curious to know, like, because it's not a country, Japan, where you have lots of people speaking English, like confidently, as a
Mm-hmm.
language. I'm wondering if there's every subtitling. I know is quite time 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 consuming, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there are eyes outside of Japan looking at your channel now. Let's hope so. At least after this, hopefully.
Right. Yeah. That would be great. It's gonna be a lot of work, obviously, to make another channel. And when you start a channel, we'll have to make another channel for English, which means we have to start from zero again, right? Which is kind of a pain, and it's gonna take some time to grow the channel. But I mean, eventually we would like to. But man,
You had a missed opportunity with that picture of you and Valentina Shevchenko, who you bumped into a few days ago. Should have done a Family Time FT promo.
uh, yeah. We should have got a shout out, man. But yeah, that's too bad. You know what? Eventually, I would like to. We still have all the. I mean, what would probably happen is if we did it, we'll do the voiceovers again over the footage and do it in English. That's probably what I would do. It's just better than subtitles, right?
Oh yeah, of course. But there's a visual style with your channel, which, and I'm not saying this as someone who's studying the language, but even 2 years ago when I wasn't, the visual style has really helped. Being able to, sometimes you're able to understand what someone's conveying to you, even if you don't necessarily know the ins and outs of the language, right?
Right. That's true. You can kind of tell what's going on just with the arrows and the stuff like that.
I'm trying to think. Is there anyone else asking questions? Sorry, Left to go on.
yeah. Somebody else wanted to know this is too. How big is Andres Iniesta in Japan, and also is what do Japanese fans think of Bam Rodriguez?
Sorry, I don't know who the first person is, but Bam Rodriguez. They don't really know him. I mean, the hard boxing fans would know him, obviously, but and those people, they obviously know, he's the shit. So, but you're talking about the regular casual fans. Well, I think even in America, there's not a lot of people that know Bam Rodriguez.
True.
All
It's
right.
kind
Intangible asked that question about Andre Iniesta because that's a footballer for Barcelona. Stop playing around in the comments, please.
of
He's no Linares. Was Jorge Linares pretty popular when he was fighting over there?
yeah,
Regularly?
Jorge Linares. He has a name. He was a little bit before I started watching boxing, a little bit before my time, so I wouldn't know, but. Yeah, people would know him because he was in Japan. I think he still is. I don't know if he runs a gym, but yeah, he had some popularity. He
Yeah,
also
he
fought
spent
no
a,
one, so he
he
was
spent a
known
lot
for.
of time over there. What about Chocolatito? Was he pretty respected by the Japanese fans?
Yeah, Chocolatito is known for sure by the boxing fans. Chocolatito and Estrada, Cesar Ket, like that weight class is the because there's a lot like Ioka. That's the same weight class as Ioka, Nagatani now.
Yeah.
So yeah, those guys get some traction. And
Oh,
yeah,
How did they feel about Inoue never getting a fight with any of those guys?
I think at that time, it wasn't at the popularity he is now, so it's quite forgotten. But yeah, I think a lot of people would have liked to see that happen.
There tends to be a talking point about Inoue, the Chocolatito fight at super flyweight. Never happened, but they talk about it a lot over here.
Too slick. I think you're making up names at this point, man. Yuri Makato, you making up names. But what about this opponent that Shakur Stevenson is fighting next? You familiar?
Shuichiro Yoshino.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yoshino. Well, this is the thing. We're all like, we hope the best for him, but he's doomed. That's kind of.
You know what? I appreciate your honesty, at the very least.
Yeah, I watched the Nakatani fight, and I came to the same conclusion.
It's not even honesty. It's not just me. It's like the whole boxing community and people in the industry say that as well. So, yeah, poor guy, but it's what it is. He's got that's kind of. We had another one. We had another fight like this. I think Loma versus Nakatani was kind of like that. Golovkin versus Murata was kind of like that. So yeah, that's just what it is. It's you can't win. So
your fan base sounds very similar to the British. Whenever you get a random Mexican fighter knocking out one of our fighters, like Maurizio Lara when you came over to the UK in Nottingham and knocked out Lee Wood, the WBA featherweight champion. So yeah, I see the parallels.
Yeah, it's too bad though, because if he would do well in the States, then more boxing fans would get into actual boxing, not just Inoue or the popular names. Then through that they'll get to know more American boxers too. So it's a little bit sad, but it's the way it is.
How did you all feel when he signed a deal to start fighting over in the United States?
Who did?
Inoue, when after the Super Series and he signed and he had a couple fights over here.
Oh yeah, he did. Well, yeah, as I think a lot of boxing fans would like him to go to go fight in Vegas, because the world would recognize him more.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of want to see that, but we also want him to fight in Japan because people want to go watch him fight, right?
Yeah, because I noticed a lot of Japanese fans were saying they wanted him to fight in Fulton before the fight was made or whatever. They were saying they wanted him to come over here and fight Fulton. Financially, it's more financially beneficial to have it in Japan. But I remember a lot of Japanese fans were saying they wanted him to come here and fight Fulton, which surprised me.
Yeah, just because the world would recognize it more. I think that's the only reason anyone would want that.
Oh, I got an interesting comment over here. Kind of late here, but what is the consensus on Luis Neri, considering he scarred Shinsuke Yamanaka's otherwise Hall of Fame record?
Yeah, that's Luis Neri is the most hated boxer in Japanese, in the boxing community. He's absolutely hated. He's number one. Cashimero's probably number two.
But are you serious? Because those are like my 1 and 2 most hated boxers too.
Oh really? I love Cashimero.
Yeah. But tell us why. You're a Cashimero fan.
Cashimero's awesome. But Neri is, so he's banned from ever fighting in Japan by the WBC. Or not WBC, sorry, JBC. So they would have to, find some loophole to get him back in Japan to fight. Should beat Fulton and he has to fight Neri. That would be a massive fight. But I mean, what happened with him? So the first fight he beat Yamanaka and he tested positive for some kind of banned substance, right?
Yes.
And essentially what the ruling was it was a tainted supplement. So that would mean that he didn't take steroids, or he wasn't taking any performance enhancing drugs. But we tend to ignore that part. And the second time he came overweight, which is, you can't do that if you're a professional boxer. But from what I understand, there was a rehydration clause the day of the fight. So it's not like Nettie won because he was heavier than Yamanaka Shinsuke, right? But again, that part is also ignored. So we just hate Nettie for those two reasons.
Did you watch Luis Neri's last fight?
Yeah, I like his boxing. Like, you can't hate the guy when he fights, and he just messed up those 2 times. It's a little bit sad, but it's the way it is. But yeah, we hate him in Japan.
Casimiro is a great bad guy. Do you know what? I kind of agree with that. He's an interesting presence at bantamweight or super bantamweight
he's just
now.
a fuck up. He's always fucking something up. He's just a fuck up. He's the reason Inoue had to fight Butler, because he's just
yeah.
up. It's not like he got beat. He's just fucked up because he's always doing something that's fucking up.
Yeah, well, I gotta head out, so I'll finish with this. Kashimiro, he signed with a Japanese boxing promotion called Treasure Boxing. So he's gonna be fighting, I think May, very soon, and I think he's gonna be fighting. Rumor has it with one of the rankers, so in the super bantamweight. So that's I'm looking forward to that, and it's great for this new boxing promotion that Treasure Boxing.
So it's called Trigger Boxing.
Treasure
Boxing. Okay.
Treasure Boxing. Yeah, they're the guys who hosted Kashimiro versus Akaho the first time. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. And tell everybody your channel so they can go sub.
Oh yeah, so Family Time, capital F, capital T. So FamilytimeFT is the name of my channel. If you guys can subscribe, that would be awesome. And
I'm also put it in the description for the replay.
Oh,
so you can
thank you. That would be great.
And don't forget your other channel, which is KT Cast.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of talking in Japanese, so I'm not sure if anyone would enjoy that one, but
an excellent podcast with Valentine Hosokawa, the ex-Japanese 140-pound champion. He's kind of known in some of the people who are commenting on here. Watch a bit of Japanese boxing, they know who he is. He also has an excellent channel as well. Is there any other Japanese boxing channel that you want to shout out before you got to get going?
No.
You're competitive. I like that. And please pop in any of our Twitter spaces every now and then. You're more than welcome.
Thank you for having me. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate you showing up, man.
All right, man. Take care. Yes.
Bye.
My phone froze. That's why I couldn't put the titles of the people comments anymore. I had to read them from my other phone. This phone froze. But, all right. Thank everybody for joining us. Thank you again, Nika, for that super chat, and we will talk to you later. Thanks for setting this up. Thanks for setting this up, Sequoia, too. Make sure everybody thanks Sequoia for setting it up.
Thank you.
Okay, now.
Bye now.
Okay. All right. Y'all take it easy.